Right. Muhammad sent two of his own poems and two of other people's poems. So I'll read one of his poems and another person's poem in the first half and the same in the second half.
Okay.
So this is Muhammad's own poem. The damning news. In the news today, chaos and calumny. The noxious breath of a coiling devil, its head born from clouds of poison made by humans. Their stench of death mauled and destroyed Persian and Lebanese bodies and hopes, destroyed by cowards with rifles and explosives behind which they hide, implying strength and superiority. The news is depressing today, though Eid must move some of the pillory and pressure. They chose Ramadan to mess and shamed their conscience. The price of violence and ingratitude is death and infamy. So that's one. And now W.B. Yeats' poem. I, first bit is an Irish name, and I think it's Ada. I don't know. Probably isn't pronounced that way at all. Ada wishes for the cloths of heaven. Had I the heavens embroidered cloths, enwrought with golden and silver light, the blue and the dim and the dark cloths of night and light and the half light, I would spread the cloths under your feet. But I, being poor, have only my dreams. I have spread my dreams under your feet. Tread softly, because you tread on my dreams.
Mhm.
That
That one.
Yeah.
It was a bit good, that Yates guy.
was quite good, yes.
Yeah. Well, I thought the poem about Lebanon's very powerful as well. It's
Yeah.
very good.
Yeah.
Mm, yeah. Sad times we're living in, isn't it? Yeah. As you're on screen, Nick, can we go to you?
Yep. So this one's called You Can Only Do So Much. Our incensed leaders are out of control. By all accounts, they cannot be reasoned with. I fear that we are heading for Armageddon, the war to end all wars, destroying everything we know, and afterwards a nuclear winter to last for years and years. Chin up and don't forget your scarf, dear.
Mhm.
And this one's Get Thee Hence. The warlord at the gates of heaven must stand and listen silently as the names of every child who died in his name for his cause, for his beliefs, his truths, his lies, is read out by the angel host. He does not get to slink away, but is cast out forever, forced by every whispered breath. Like a whirlwind, their names shall burn and buffet him, sucking the air from his presence. There will be nothing left for him to utter his false repentance, nothing left for him to do but go.
Mm, that's very good. Mm. We can but wish, can't we?
We can indeed. And this is just a little one. It's called To Laugh. To laugh is not that hard. You need to stop crying, withdraw into a better world. Childhood?
Thanks, Nick. That's your quintain, isn't it?
It's a Cinquain, yeah.
Cinquain, that's the word.
Well, yeah, Cinquain. Depends how French you want to be in pronouncing it, really.
Okay. I suppose they probably invented it, so we should credit them. Yeah.
I don't
Now,
know, yeah, actually. I don't know where it comes from.
yeah. Stephen, how you doing?
Yeah, good. You?
Yeah, I'm okay. Yeah. You on the Isle of Wight today?
Good.
Yeah.
I am indeed. Yeah.
Right. Very good.
Okay. Yeah. Just I want to go over some old poems. So these are this first one. The first two are interpretations of Ovid's first poem, where he is persuaded by Cupid not to write about war, but to write about love instead. Poet of the mighty battles, god of proud hexameter, Examine now your lack of wit and productivity and tell me if you've chosen well in verse. I know you thought that 6-beat lines of marching epic meter mattered. Ponder briefly my intriguing interventions. Ask yourself, ignore the bow and arrow, they're not aiming at intimidation, just in need of cleaning. If my alterations work, if what you've done is not a trifle boring, my amendments more exciting. Think a while and then decide. And when, like Hamlet, you cannot decide, I will provide a prompt. And from a quiver full of witty points, I have selected one, persuasive in its argument. And when it flies and hits and penetrates, the potion in its tip will take your marching thoughts, translate them into wit, debate, and love. Society will regulate, condemn, deform the freedoms that you'll inculcate. Indoctrinated, you won't mind and carry on. And even exile won't distract, for when you're gone, the work goes on. Distorted, banned, translated, shunned, discovered once again, dissected, celebrated, all this due to my divine disruption of intended order. Once for war, with me you'll fight a greater battle, instigating more disorder. And you did, and I was right. You hesitated, so I shot. I never shoot unless I hit. Because of me, you shine with unadulterated wit. Goodbye, proud war. I've made a penetrated poet, much debated, fated in a syncopated beat. This is another version of the same poem. Dear poet of integrity, intensity of poetry, philosophy domesticated, ponder please your lack of wit and productivity and tell me if you've chosen well in verse. Persona, personality, and sensitivity incarnate, take your thoughts, translate them into undiluted, unadulterated wit. The kind of love you wrote about was not the love I thought about, was not the one I aimed for. Don't pretend it's all my fault. It's not. The problems you created just because of your interpretation of my penetrating dart, your ardor wasn't my intention when I made an intervention, when I first attempted this. It came to pass, and now at last, I'm trying to undo the mess.
Mhm.
And finally, just a short one. Democracy is not my suit. Instead, I wear a casual, totalitarian attire, a collage of the well-constructed, marriage of the understated, not an overcomplicated kind of on and off affair.
Mhm. Very good, very lyrical, your stuff, isn't it? Quite like it. Just swings along nicely. Mm. You got some more for us later on, Steve? Or
I certainly have, yes.
that'd be good. Okay, but Peter, we get you on while you're able, shall we?
I haven't chosen any others of mine or anyone else's. So I'm just reading Mohammed's. Right.
Okay, right. Do you want to do that now, or do you?
No, I went to the second half.
Okay. Okay. Well, I've been a bit cheating, really. I'm going through my my archives, and we were asked to do this poetry questionnaire a long time ago, 2000, during lockdown. So I've posed the questions and what my responses are, because I think it helps to focus on what poetry is all about, really. So, first question: what is poetry? Poetry can be pretty, ordinary efforts to release yourself. Have I got my point across, Dick? Here, if so. Should poetry rhyme? You think it trite to write haiku? If it don't rhyme, it just won't do. Rhyme has its place, along with rhythm and content. Equally, 3-verse has its place. The genius of William Carlos Williams is the red wheelbarrow lies in it painting an enduring picture in a few words. That verse would overcomplicate. Even the line spacing creates its own questions, giving the poem a Zen-like haiku quality. So much depends upon a red wheelbarrow glazed with rain, water beside the white chicken. Does it have to follow a specified structure? If we are what we repeatedly do, then excellence in poetry is not an act, but a habit. However, we are not perfect. So, wouldn't we get into bad habits? Therefore, be amorphous, have no form, or have many forms or reforms, etc. When you try to conform, when you try to conform to form, it can be a long, hard road. Sometimes a poem. Sometimes things come, sometimes they won't, sometimes they rhyme, sometimes they don't. Sometimes words rhyme and sing to the sky. Why these things happen, I don't know why. 4, should each individual poem follow the same form throughout? Health warning, that could send you to sleep. Does poetry have to make sense? Number 5, 'twas brillig and the slithy toes did gyre and gimble in the warb. Enough said. 6, should poetry have meaning? See above. 7, should poetry have a point? If you want to be sharp and reach a peak, then have a point. The only things that should have points are pens and pencils, not swords and not poems. 8, should poetry make you think? Unavoidable. Whether the words take us anywhere might be another question. Sometimes we neither need nor want them to. 9, should poetry be intellectual? Intellect equals someone who has been educated beyond his/her intelligence, Arthur C. Clarke. Or, as one of my poetry heroes, Charles Bukowski, says, an intellectual says a simple thing in a hard way. An artist says a hard thing in a simple way. Yeah, nice one. Who really wants to go there? 10, should poetry make you feel? When the rain is blowing in your face and the whole world is on your case, I could offer you a warm embrace to make you feel my love. So good, they ought to put music to that one. Bob Dylan. 11, can it make you feel? There's an old adage, where there's no sense, there's no feeling. Does that mean Edward Lear's nonsense poems do nothing for us? They made me smile. As a post-war child, I was raised on Tennyson and Kipling. And at the time, I remember the excitement of the words read, of the words, there's not to reason why, there's but to do or die, into the valley of death, road to 600. These poems were designed to raise patriotic spirit as schoolboys who only by reading other poets like Wilfred Owen and Siegfried Sassoon later learned of the actual cruelty and carnage of war. So yes, poetry can make you feel as well as turn your feelings around. Even Kipling went through such a sea change when his own son was killed at the Battle of Loos. If any question why we died, tell her because our fathers lied. I'm going to call it a break there because I get fed up with the sound of my own voice sometimes. I've gone up to number 12. The bad news is it goes on to 42 questions. So
fantastic.
But yeah, I think it's a good way of sort of making you think about it really a little bit, you know.
That's great.
Yeah. But there's all bits of if you take a huge subject like poetry, it's like the meaning of life, isn't it? You have to chuck in bits of yourself, bits of stuff you like, bits of stuff you didn't, and you know, maybe end up somewhere.
I did love the artists and the intellectuals.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
That was a very good quote.
Nice. There's a few good bits in there actually. Yeah.
Lots of wisdom.
Do you know it's only 20 past? Should I do another page? I'll do another page.
Yeah.
Do another page.
Give him a page, George.
Yeah, give him a page.
Read through until you get to the last page. That'll be fine.
Go to halfway. Go to 21, George, so we get the other half in the second half.
Very good. 12. Is it therapeutic? The exercise of even thinking about poetry in COVID isolation Makes me come alive. Imagine what actual poems could do for the long-term incarcerated in prisons and hospitals. That's a good point, you know. 13, is it important? Socrates. I decided it was not wisdom that enabled poets to write poetry, but a kind of instinct or inspiration, such as you find in seers and prophets who deliver all their sublime messages without knowing in the least what they mean. 14, who is it for? For most of us, I suppose it is for anyone who doesn't walk out when we start reading. There is an assumption of interest, even an maybe even appreciation on good days, or are they just being polite? 15, would, could, should you write for others? Who knows? If I was hungry and if it would feed me, I suppose in desperation I would. Could I write for others? He who pays the piper calls the tune, doesn't sit too well. So maybe please yourself is better. Here's another question though. Once a poet puts a poem out there, is it his or her poem anymore? It gets received by others who, if involved enough, will take the poet's words and translate them into the meaning it has for him or her. After all, Hitler took the works of Wagner and of Nietzsche and warped them into myths of his own making and for his own purposes. 16, should you be paid and how much? A labourer is worthy of his hire, so said Chaucer, paraphrasing Luke 10:7-1. Whether I should be paid is another question. That would depend on whether someone actually wants to buy my poems and what they think they are worth. Whether I want to sell them is still another question. See 15, the piper calls the tune. 17, is anything off limits? Oh dear. The libertarian side of my nature goes to war with my egalitarian one on this. I react badly to any curtailment of self-expression. This conjures up images of Nazi Germany, the burning of books, the banning of non-Aryan art and music, etc. However, would I accept any poem promoting or glorifying hatred or the degradation of other human beings? I would have to say aloud, no. Does knowing about a poet make a positive or negative difference to the work? Knowing about a poet might. The great McGonagall was said to be paid 15 shillings a night by a local circus to read his poems, so that the audience could respond by pelting him with eggs, flour, herrings, strange enough, potatoes and stale bread. This teaches us that even crap has a value. We don't know for sure that Shakespeare wrote Shakespeare, but that doesn't detract from Shakespeare, where the work and the name have become synonymous. What we produce has to be our measure, not who we are. What we produce has to be our measure, not who we are. 19, does knowing about a poem, how it came to be, what it relates to, does knowing about a poem, how it came to be, what it relates to, any pointed references, etc. We now have a world where there are no experts outside of our modern day oracle, Google. Having said this, knowing every inch of a poem's raison d'etre doesn't matter much to me. Letting the imagination wander into the possibilities of what a poem might be takes us down all sorts of creative alleyways. And aren't those people who talk loudly in galleries about what the artist really meant a pain in the arse? 20, nearly there. Should the writer have a recognizable, identifiable style, a voice? That is a hard ask. When I pick up Cocoon by Spike Milligan, I know it isn't War and Peace by Tolstoy. That's not about being particularly clever on my part, but seeing those writers as separated by time, personality, the language in vogue, and the road they choose to travel. Equally, we need to recognize what we learn from others, at least from those whom we admire. Therefore, there is therefore a pull in another direction, that being one unconscious imitation. As Banksy said, one original thought is worth 1,000 meaningless quotes. He doesn't cover meaningful quotes, I notice. So a recognizable style is a thing to aspire to, so long as it remains your servant and not your master. 21, what identifies your work? Other people tell me my identifier is themes. That is where I leave my fingerprints. themes around nature, be that allotments or beavers or social justice, inequality. I find it difficult to write about animals without, excuse me, bloody hell. Sticky pages, last bit for now, without linkage to human activity. For example, the employment of seagulls. Some say they are the sounds of souls of sailors sunk in stormy seas. Others the shrieks of spectres, gathering spirits in a hail of grim banshees. I hear calls that move my spirit from the wheeling, tumbling, diving gulls. And well can I imagine they are calling to take home those sad lost souls to a place not cold and salty, nor as cloying as the land, mud of the land, but high above where the sun shines through to glisten in the golden sand. That accounts for the soulful sadness in the cry of the snow-white bird. This might be the view of a rambling mind, or of some of the myths I've heard. But there needs to be some purpose to the gliding through the grey and blue, and on reflection, this could be the job that seagulls do. I'm not sure if such approaches define a style as such. I have no style, probably in all senses of the word, and will switch from rhyme to prose or sonnet to haiku at the drop of the proverbial hat. That doesn't worry me. Some of my best mates are poetry floozies, and they accept me into their territory. Well, that's up to 22 we got. So, yeah.
Poetry
Interesting.
floozies. Who's a poetry floozy?
Poetry floozy?
Yes.
Who is? We all are, I think. Well, Peter,
I'd like to meet one.
You're more discreet, Peter. You are, I think.
I do my floozing in private, you mean?
I think these two on my right here, it's Nick and Steve, are definite floozies. Yeah. Nick used to flooze around with Lemminkainen, and
Oh yeah.
yeah, and Steve, he's got a thing for Ovid.
Ovid.
Ovid, even not COVID.
Well, no,
Ovid.
it's supposed to be Ovid, but I purposely mispronounce it as Ovid. Yeah,
Ovid. That's obvious.
flat vowels.
Ovid,
That's
long.
what you want.
I happen. Yeah. Well, true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Well, today is the spring solstice, isn't it?
Mm.
Eostir, which is the Christians nicked the term Eostir to call it Easter, and nicked it in off the. I think it's originally a Saxon word, Eostir. Yes, true.
Well, I have both of Steve's paper plate books.
Oh, right, very good.
Fantastic, Nick.
Very good they are.
Number
Nick.
one fan.
Absolutely.
Yep, number 1.6 fan.
Oh yes, I remember they were numbered, weren't they? Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Well, when it hits the fan, as you say. Mm.
Yep.
Yes. Well, should we start part two? We're all ready to go. Nick, it's your turn.
Fabulous.
Me.
Yeah.
Okay. I was asked to write a poem. I don't know why. I was asked to write a poem about floppy disks. So this is called Floppy Days.
Right.
Back in the day, we all had to wait for things to happen, for the phone line to sing the discordant connection song, for the floppy disk to rotate in its not so floppy sleeve. Minutes passing before we were asked to load a second one. Now everything's very nearly instant and so insistent, requiring no planning and no intention. I feel we were more happy then, when we had time to look out of the window, brew some tea, chat to friends or colleagues, and pass the time of day. Now there's one time, one endless now, endlessly repeating now, 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 now.
Now. Very good.
Whereas 5 and a quarter or 3.5 floppy disks. Or could this be
Yeah,
another poem?
indeed. Was it a 3-inch or a 3.5-inch? It's very important to know.
Yeah, Amstrad with 3 inch.
I was told I had a 5-inch, but
Mm.
This one's called The Art of Not, open square brackets, dot, 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 close square brackets. And it's got a little epigram. The most important things are the hardest to say because words diminish them. It's by Stephen King. The art of not, that dance on the edge, staying grounded, not flying, not letting go of this thin, narrow end of the wedge, the battle none of us win. All of us trying and trying, telling ourselves we're not, perfecting the art of not saying.
Mhm. Didn't know Stephen King wrote poetry. Didn't know Stephen King wrote poetry.
He wrote aphorisms. So I think is that what it is? What that is? But yeah.
Mm.
And this one is just called Art.
Okay.
Communication, meaning, depth, surfaces hidden beneath, within, allusions to many other things, illusions all in many varied ways, until the right viewer observes the way a thought arrives and falls, fits within a predetermined place. The connection, once it is made, deepens over time, a kind of love, familiarity that dawns new each day. The journey, once undertaken solely to arrive at the destination, becomes itself the starting point for excursions into neighbourhoods. Undreamt of experiences, meanders, lost tracks and alleyways behind the intended mansions of splendour now lead us doubling back to starts for new impressive expeditions to far-flung realms of feelings, layered up, stripped back, shared. Hand in hand, we find our guide to lead our perceptions onwards, unraveling new mysteries within the conversation of the chosen, patterning to give and to receive a special wisdom shared between two travellers on the same road. The one who started out earliest, who first points the way ahead, and the second who searches, accepting not just the proffered way, but all that was implied and linked, a conversation once entered into, becoming something transcendent.
It's brilliant. It's a really good poem, that.
Thank you.
I'm stunned. Stunned into silence. Thanks, Nick. Stephen, what you got for us?
What made our beds seem hard, and why did sleep elude us far too often? Though the nights were long, our rest was short. We are exhausted, overwhelmed, and fraught, and all your crazy fault. The constant piercing darts of love and hate in equal parts attacked our bleeding hearts. To yield or strive, which one would give us rest? Let's yield, we said. A burden simply borne is best. Unwilling lovers, love does more torment than such as in their bondage feel content. Submitting bodies, hearts, and minds, we held our captured thoughts for you to bind. No need for war, we sued with you for peace, as arms to conquer harmlessness was pointless. Lately caught, displaying new-made wounds, like slavish fashionistas, captive like bemanacled and bound, examples and disciples like all fools that seek love's rack, with thoughts tied up like prisoners behind a beaten back. And famous worshipped as a king in triumph, loudly did your vassals sing smooth speeches, Fear and rage sat by your side. Your tropes had conquered. Truth had long since died. But when in time we erred, so many did you burn, and gave wounds infinite at every turn. In spite of us, your arrows flew, a scorching flame for all you thought you knew. A trumpet blast of truth, you said, but who believes you now? Some do, as working class and bourgeoisie are caught in your appalling calumny, and soldiers' constant marching bands manipulate the sad and lonely captured with their captivating hands. I wrote of you, so you would see, or so I thought. I wrote some more, and reading in a manual that flattery was not the best approach to take, that you were bored by constant compliments, I tried a new approach. Assault, and found some friends of yours, supporters, fawning, poring over every word, as if they were the words of God. My God, how easy, so I thought. I had a task and went at it with such abandon. On the pages verses came and went, but still, what can I do? As one who turns in mid-attack is lost. Ahead, admirers, suitors, for the love of one so foolish, unaware, plough on with some attention paid, just like the perfect farmers that they are, while I, a knight in shining armour, and am ignored. And all is fair, all's not fair, in love and war and verse. Avoid, if you are careful, anything too controversial. Listen to your betters well. Present yourself as mutable. More, or that'll do? You're muted, George.
I like his gesticulations, though.
Sorry, that first one, it seems strangely current to me, about the arrows flying and the,
Yes.
affecting everyone, and, the bourgeoisie and the, so did you write that recently, or is that?
No, that was written about 3.5 years ago, and it was kind of interpretation of an Ovid poem with reference to Trump's MAGA base.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of, Trump's MAGA base. So it just seemed, yeah. Yeah, it's almost a current commentary on what's going on at the moment, really, in a kind of unique way.
Yeah, well, it was nice to read it tonight because you write something topical 3.5 years ago, and is it still topical? I mean, he still has his base, obviously, and it's it's something that he will be worrying about now, with oil prices and his promise not to take America into a forever war. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you seem to have a whole stream of like Botoxed celluloid women who come out and talk crap for him. You can't believe what's coming out of their mouths.
Yeah, but that's got nothing to do with his base. I mean, we'll just have to see in the midterms, won't we? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure he'll be able to manipulate it to some degree, but he'll be worried about the midterms now for sure.
Well, I don't trust that society. We predict things that logically should happen, and then, they're so thick that they will just fall in behind him. That's some sort of false sense of patriotism.
Yeah, but I think you're falling into a trap there, George, because the problem that the Democrats had was that they ignored and underestimated Middle America, and they fell into Trump's hands because of that. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, in Middle America, there are cities like Detroit that have radical, the potential for kind of radical movement. So I think, any center left-wing politician kind of if they ignores that sort of area, whether it be, in England, the Clevelands and Gatesheads, or or Middle America,
the Red Wall,
the argument's there to be had, and hopefully people are having the argument, and some people are saying, hang on,
Nick's muted. You're muted, Nick. You're muted, Nick.
I think it's very much the same as any two-horse race. You have a third of people who are going to vote blue, and there's a third of people who are going to vote red. And very little is going to change their mind one way or the other. It's going to need a profound change before they go, oh, I've been backing the wrong team. And the election's decided by the people in the middle, and who of them decide to vote, and whether they're more worried about the price of petrol or the price of bananas, or something else that
it's a sad comment on
just
humanity,
attracted them. And it's a lot of people just don't pay any attention to politics. They don't care. They don't listen to the news. They're not bothered, and they just get a few sound bites that register or don't. And
but it's sad that the price of petrol seems to matter more than 130 kids being blown to shit in a school, isn't it?
Yeah. But most of them aren't even aware that 130 kids were blown to bits in a school. Because they're not paying that much attention to the news. They've turned off. All they hear is people bickering and stuff, and they don't care. They're getting on with their lives and doing the grocery shopping. So what they notice is whether the grocery bill goes up or not.
I suppose so.
Or whether their health plan has been destroyed. That might, make a difference. But it's little things like that. Well, more personal things
but
like
maybe that. They're connected, that they will, listen and react to the 133 kids being blown up because their petrol bill's gone up. Or, that sort of thing.
Well, they might just...
Things are connected, And, I have a lot of friends who are totally despondent, but at the moment we've got a Democratic Socialist mayor of New York. Who saw that coming? So you never know.
We'd have to cling on to ideas like that, I think. Otherwise we go crazy. Peter, are you good to read now?
Read Muhammad's second poem. Right. Muhammad's second poem, This Flight of Eid. Welcome aboard the flight of Eid Day, the celebration that can be the flower in the hat, the bulwark of smiles and commendations. Who worked hard all through the rigors of fasting Ramadan to make this Eid a day-star reality? The answer is everyone, anyone who wheeled in spirits of peace, wholesome words of the Overlord. This will glide you to your needed evanescence in no time, to your Eden of fond delights, and prepare you for a smooth landing to the next grand Eid experience. That was Muhammad's, and the other one he's got is Cuppa by Brian Bilston. No matter if you're uppity or you cause a brouhaha, you'll always be my cup of tea, my steaming mug of char. You should know, my Darjeeling, only tea leaves me feeling this way. You turn me 50 shades of Earl Grey. That's the oolong and short of it, the infusing, confusing thought of it. But please don't make a sport of it, because without you I am defunct, like a biscuit waiting to be dunked.
Good old Brian.
Yeah.
Is that it, Peter? Yeah.
Yep, that's it.
Right, thank you. Well, I'll carry on with the thing then. Where do we get our inspiration? what I see reported on television, life events, a walk in the park, or what I see. Oh, sorry. Where do we get our inspiration? It varies between mood, weather conditions, life events, a walk in the park, or what I see reported on television or hear on the radio. I see the brain as a sponge, not just in its physical appearance, but as an organ soaking up experiences and feelings. If a leading politician has done something especially egregious, then my hand rushes to a pen and words flow from a sense of righteous indignation. Sometimes I can remember parts of weird dreams like criminal shire horses or giant white mice that are so ridiculous they can only be expressed in poetry. 23. How long from birth to completion does a poem take? I've written long poems in minutes and short ones in years. It's a bit like the before and after effects of taking Cenopods. And my non-admirers would probably say the results are the same substance as the results of taking Cenopods. Whoops, where's that gone? Who knows what causes stoppages and flows? Back to our earlier subject. I find the more I care about something, the quicker a poem flows out. A year or two ago, I saw a report on television where a border guard pulled apart a girl who looked less than 10 years old from her mother as a result of Trump's new border policy with Mexico. The young girl had a red coat that stood out when the torches probed the darkness. And this reminded me of the scene in the film Schindler's List, where in an otherwise monochrome scene, a little Jewish girl in a red beret progressed towards the gas chambers. I was so incensed that I quickly wrote the following in a comment, a wall of tears. Because of the United States of America's current Mexico border policy, it was estimated that over 2,000 children were separated from their parents in June 2018. It is hard to estimate how many were reunited or how long the separations lasted. Oh, say, did you see by that dawn's early light the child torn from her mother as they crossed in the night? Did you hail so proudly at the twilight's last gleaming, the eyes of the child from which tears were streaming? Where are her bright stars after perilous flight, or those of her mother removed from her sight? Oh, see the broad stripes on every still bar. You're condemned by the world from near and from far. Is this the land of the free, the home of the brave, that can treat a small child as less than a slave? Can this be the place where the free man can stand, that puts children in prison and sees refugees banned? Why must they conquer? And whose cause is just when thousands of babies sleep in the dust? Those babes see no shore through the mists of the deep, huddled up close in a warehouse to sleep. No soft warm blanket, no comfort in hand, no sense of freedom in this cold-hearted land where they sing their proud anthem in voices of thunder, whilst thousands of families are just torn asunder. So hollow their motto of "In God we trust," look hard to see any home of the just. On the other hand, I have many other efforts that just stated they'd never arrived. Where have all the poems gone? When I look around my home, I find many poems half-started. In this, am I alone, a would-be poet half-hearted? There could be other houses in Croydon with poems that have no end. Imagine all the sweat employed on rhymes that drive you round the bend. Of course, I might be mistaken when it comes to seeing things through. There might be poems started and not forsaken and get read out all complete and new. Can I reorder my thinking to see my lines as half finished instead? Might that stop my spirits from sinking and help me put some scrawls to bed? So I'm calling this not half done, but something that's ready read, that's ready to read, like a half-baked currant bun, not a flower that's really a weed. Do you edit? Number 24. If I care enough about what I've written, then I tend to edit. The orthodox approach might say consider revising. There's the apocryphal story of Coleridge being interrupted by the visitor from Porlock, which resulted in his probably opium-induced dream of Kubla Khan being curtailed or unfinished. Why didn't he revise it? Couldn't he revise it? Isn't it a perfect ending to say, for he on honey dew hath fed and drunk the milk of paradise? I would say, what a way to go. Leave it alone, Samuel. But what do I know about opium dreams? Right, 25. Can the work ever, always, never reflect the views and feelings of the author? I suppose this is similar to people asking, is that is that you in your poem? Or as posh people would say, is it a persona or a non-persona poem? Yes, it is sometimes me, and it is sometimes bits of me, or bits I like or dislike, or aspirations of how I'd like to be. Sometimes it is observing others or looking at clouds, seagulls, hedgehogs, presidents, or countries. Does it make me Mr. Inconsistency, or does that make the exercise of writing poems a royal road to the unconscious, to use Freud's phrase? On balance, I believe poetry can be a way of putting our beliefs and feelings out there. That's probably why I'm drawn to the style of some of the polemical poets like Adrian Mitchell, Maya Angelou, Roger McGough, to name but a few. They have something to say, and they say it. There have been times when I've written poems because I feel I should. Maybe I've been a bit slack for a while, or there's a meeting or an event coming up. I found I really like the product in those circumstances, and have decided I can't write to order. For me, it needs a fire of words to blaze. Why bother? When these ideas come, it's like an itch that you must scratch. This is number 26. Why bother? When these ideas come, it's like an itch you must scratch. If you don't carry that puzzle round in your head about what might have been, like Coleridge and his Poeticus Interrupticus, I sometimes wake at night with a thought or line in my head, and I feel I capture, or as I've said via my good friend, the haiku, poetry's best lines can come a cold distance from my pen and paper. Why bother? Because I have to. 27. We're a long way from 42, aren't we? Shit, yeah. I might wind it up soon, folks. Yeah. Can things not in written form also be poetry? John Clare would no doubt have found all sorts of rhythms and rhymes in the dawn chorus. So do I. And in the sound of shingle crashing on a stony beach, the conversation of old ladies on buses, church bells chiming while the wind rustles the great chestnut trees, and so many other sounds. This lockdown tells me how much I miss the shrieks and laughs in children's playgrounds and the barking of the fruit sellers in Surrey Street Market, their different accents and pitches. You might say that's not poetry. Well, they all have their rhythms. They all speak and evoke feelings. Okay, it's not written, except that I've just written it. It speaks to me as poetry. Do other creative forms influence you? Very much so. I think it would be hard not to look at Van Gogh's swirling, rich, the starry nights without thinking of the might of the nature that overlooks a sleeping village, where the safeguarding fir trees stand vigil on the ridge. At the moment, when we all feel assaulted by the unseen threat, art as well as music can take us somewhere else. I've just listened to Leonard Cohen singing Everybody Knows when he gets to the lines, and everybody knows the plague is coming. Everybody knows it's coming fast. Then that other form of art touches me, telling me not to waste time in holding on to the reflections that such words and images bring. Well, I've gone up to 28, so I'll do the rest some other time.
Right.
Sore throat.
The subject for the Croydon Library Group tomorrow is numbers.
Oh,
It would go quite well for that.
it would, wouldn't it?
I did write a very short one on numbers myself this afternoon for it.
Come hear it.
Called Count Me In. 1, 2, poo on my shoe. 3, 4, stepped in some more. 5, 6, this stuff sticks. 7, 8, don't smell great. 9, 10, let me in then.